At first the weather seems so nice for flying, and all of a sudden this wind comes out of nowhere. Time to land it afterwards. And what did I read today? How about this one, where apparently there seems to be a theme today, where a lot of people are using drones, I guess, when it comes to things like animals and all that. This first one here says, Swiss farmers use drones to find sheltering fawns to save them from equipment harm. As it says here, in the lush fields of the Swiss town Fawns, volunteers used drones before dawn to find fawns or young deer nestled beneath tall grasses, preventing farmers from inadvertently harming them with heavy agricultural machinery. Hundreds of fawns have been killed or mutilated in Swiss agricultural fields, prompting Foundation Sabotage Fawns in the Vaud canton to take action. Farmer Stefan Kohl, who was devastated when he accidentally killed a fawn in his field, has been using the foundation's free service to prevent further incidents. A little fawn is so small, he said. We all have small cats and dogs at home. Fawns are cute too. They are wild animals, but animals nonetheless. Established in 2018, the group alerts farmers to the presence of fawns so they can steer clear of them while reaping or mowing their property. Does tend to leave fawns in fields while they forage for food, returning later for their offspring. The fawns remain completely still while awaiting their mother's return, making them vulnerable to harm by farm machinery, unlike deer, doves, and foxes that are scared off by those noises. And so with this, I guess drones are the solution. It says, as the request of farmers, volunteers fly drones high above their fields using thermal imaging to detect the presence of fawns. The volunteers conduct their search early before the sun heats up the grass so they can identify the fawns, which appear as red blotches on the drone camera. It says the young animal is then carefully covered with a wooden crate with a flag on top, allowing farmers to easily avoid fawns on their property. Whatever happened to that narrative of never fly drones around animals, huh? Or in this case, you can see it's a good use of the tech. And with that thought, this article actually made me think too, in terms of flying drones near animals, how about using it to feed them, in this case, tigers? This one says, welcome to the Siberian Tiger Park. How are drones and cutting-edge conservation techniques helping to save these endangered tigers? And you can see in the video, from the looks of it, normally to feed the tigers, you would, I suppose, put food through these little holes and so forth, I guess to protect the person themselves and the animals. But you can see here in this actual video, it seems like they actually use a drone to drop off literally like live animals, for example, and then the tigers would of course eat it as if it found something in the wild. To my knowledge from reading this anyways, it sounds like they're doing that to train the tigers. So it's kind of interesting in that sense because you can see clearly they recognize, I suppose, the drone as a source of food of sorts, like it's going to drop the birds, so they immediately try to scout it out to see, okay, what's going to drop, let's hunt it down, which shows you again, it comes down to what you're using and how, and the animals, they learn from the environment, which in my opinion should be common sense, right? Again, it reminds me of all those ridiculous people who say, for example, if you fly a drone 60 meters in the air to capture, for example, a whale in the ocean, it somehow, for example, disturbs them. Like, it's ridiculous. And this is just further example, in my opinion, of common sense, where if they get used to an environment or something that's around them all the time, they know it's not a threat or somehow benefits them, then they'll be okay with it. And then this news was going around a lot here today. Apparently, in the US, the president's son was found guilty, it says here, because of possession of firearms and drugs. It says Hunter Biden found guilty of lying about drug use to illegally buy a gun. US President Joe Biden's son Hunter Biden was convicted by a jury on Tuesday of lying about his drug use to illegally buy a gun, making him the first child of a sitting US president to be convicted of a crime. A 12-member jury in Wilmington, Delaware, hometown of the Bidens, found the defendant guilty on all 3 counts against him. Hunter Biden, 54, lightly nodded his head after the verdict was read and stared straight ahead, but otherwise showed little reaction. He then patted his lawyer, Ab Lowell, on the back and hugged another member of his legal team. Lowell said in a statement they would vigorously pursue all the legal challenges available to Hunter. Hunter Biden still faces a separate tax case in California. So that's kind of interesting, but at the same time I was reading comments from people where they were saying this case is a distraction from the bigger issue, where I remember there was a story before about his laptop, which apparently has so much scandalous, I guess, information in there that could incriminate high-ranking officials, even potentially, for example, like the US president, like his father. And it doesn't seem like there's been much anyways from the news here about that in terms of a conviction. So people were saying this is a way to stop people from trying to wonder about that and saying, for example, here, hey, look, we convicted him, like case closed. But it's completely kind of, I guess, unrelated from the bigger picture. That's what people are saying anyways. At the same time, some people were suggesting there was a lot of, I guess, production camera crews, if that's what you want to say, like filming his reaction and all that. So maybe they're thinking of making, like, I don't know, some kind of documentary about this to make him look like, I don't know, the good guy or the bad guy, depending on which angle they're going with. But yeah, it just seems kind of like a weird situation according to a lot of people's opinions anyways. All right, see you guys later.